Hey guys, welcome to my video series where we learn how to EQ every instrument there is, and today we do horns. Let's do it. Okay, so before we jump into Logic, the usual disclaimer, the recording quality matters. I say this in every video. You need to have a minimum of recording quality to be able to do any kind of good music. As always, I recommend using a good software if you don't have good hardware, meaning if you don't have a good instrument, good player, good room, good microphone, etc., then it's better to just use software instruments. In this bunch of horns here, we have some well-recorded ones and some not so well-recorded ones, so we can hear what the difference is and what we should do and should not do. And I hope this will give you a solid baseline of what to aim for when you're recording and also how you can treat it in the mix. Let's have a look. So in no particular order, here we have number 1. Sounds pretty good. It has a lot of reverb on it already. I don't like printed reverbs, but this is a good one, so it's not that big of a problem. No issues, to be honest. I'm very surprised. We can reduce a little bit the harshness around 3K just to make it a bit more pleasant, but otherwise this is a very rounded, very good sound. Bit of the treble bump, just to compensate for the losses in recording, but that's about it. Low cut, the mandatory low cut, a little bit of harshness. This is a very good example for excellent horns, and I'm not sure if these are real, but I think these are actually programmed. So this is an entire section. This makes it a little bit difficult, of course, because different problems will appear in different instruments. Here what I want to fix is, what I hear right away is there's a little bit of harshness from the trumpet, the high trumpet. And I'm going to have a look if we can clean up the low mids a little bit. Although with that we risk, of course, damaging also the base, the foundation of the trumpets, unfortunately. But let's have a look. So here you can hear there's a very dominant whistle around 3.8. We definitely want to get rid of that. That's it. I'm happy with that. No words needed. Really good. I don't know what this is, recording or programming, but it works. It sounds good. Just a little bit of fixing to make it fit better in the mix, but that's about it. As always, I have to say also that I didn't just go in and randomly took out this frequency, and first I hear that there's a problem. I kind of, in my head, try to isolate where this problem is roughly. I think harshness, okay, so harshness, it's usually between 2 to 5K, so I'm gonna start searching in that range where the problem is worst. And I instinctively, or maybe it was just a lucky guess, I kind of found it almost immediately just around 3.8. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is definitely a real recorded saxophone, and I can tell that not only by this resonance that we get on many recorded instruments. So first I'm going to put the low cut. I can hear that it's a very close recording, so this is going to need some reverb in the mix to push it a bit further in the mix. I prefer dry, close recordings if there is not a very good room available. So again, I heard a little bit of that piercing sound, and I see also in the analyzer that there's a little bit of something here, and it made it easy to find it around 2.6 in this case. So this now sounds perfect. I added a little bump in the treble, but with a saxophone, the context, of course, with all instruments, the context matters a lot. And this might be a bit too full, a bit too thick if it's competing with rock guitars or any other instruments. I'm not sure what the context was here. So I might have to, in the mix, reduce all of the low mids a little bit to get a sound that is more tucked into the rest of the production. And as I was listening, I heard another whistle creeping up here on 4.5, so I removed it. But as you can hear, the before and after is not drastically different. I don't want to alter the sound completely, and I don't think you should ever aim for that. If that is required, then it's better to re-record, choose a different sample, choose a different sound altogether. But I'm happy with this. Let's have a look at before and after. Sounds great. Let's have a look at the trumpet from the same session. So this is immediately piercing my ears. There's definitely something sticking out that makes my ears shut down almost immediately. It's kind of omnipresent, I'm surprised to say. It's very hard to find it. It seems to be almost all of it. So it's definitely too loud, but it's somehow an unpleasant loudness to it that I don't like. The most problematic was around here at 2.3. Yeah, this will be a difficult one. I mean, it is very piercing, quite a piercing sound to me. But with these two tweaks, it is sounding better. Let's see if we can add a bit of top. Not a lot needed, actually, so this is fine. This is quite good. Again, good recording, a bit of a piercing sound. I don't quite know where that's coming from. Before and after. Yeah, it sounds good. This is just how a trumpet is, I guess. It's a very in-your-face kind of sound. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so again, we have the usual piercing sound that appears a lot in horns. So I'm managing that with an EQ at 2.5. I added a bit of top to it to compensate for the losses in recording. I'm pretty certain that this is a recorded section because we can see from the rumble in the lows. And a little bit of the boxy sound at 500 that I didn't quite like. So before and after. Nice and punchy sound, I like it. Let's have a look at this one. Now, I know for a fact that this was recorded. I remember the project. Let's have a look. This is a roomy recording. It has a room baked in. It's a nice room. I think it was recorded actually in a local studio. It is a bit too dark. Let's see if we can compensate for that. And maybe just by compensating for the treble with a boost here, we are also fixing the slightly muddy lower mids. Let's have a look. Okay, so it is more present, it is brighter. It's a very good sound to begin with, so I don't feel a lot of need to over EQ it. In the context of the song, of course, I might be a bit more aggressive on this treble boost, or maybe a bit less aggressive, but this is the general sound I'm going with here. Let's have a look at the next one. So this recording is not quite as lucky. It is very distant. There is not a lot of presence to it. It's quite a muffled sound. So if you can, I would have brought the microphone in closer, to be honest, to get more of the body, to get more of the presence of this instrument. With body this time, I mean the resonant body of this instrument itself. It's a little bit too dark, it's a bit too distant, very difficult to work with. And also it sounds a little bit muddy, but the problem is if I remove the muddy frequency, I'm basically removing all the sound there is, because it's exactly here, 250-300-ish, but this is also the main note that is being played essentially, and there's not a lot else here. Okay, so yeah, it opened up, but it also lost body. But maybe this is the best solution for this instrument. Let's have a look at the before and after. Okay, so this is as far as we can go with that one. Let's have a look at the next one. Better recording, quite like it actually. Good room, maybe a bit too much because, you know, with compression and everything, these things come up. But this is pretty good. Not a lot of harshness, no harshness at all actually. Let's see if we can add some top end. So a slight adjustment here, a little bit of the boxy range around 500, bit of top end, the mandatory low cut of course, but otherwise this is perfect, this is a good recording. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, same session, same recording setup it seems, but different instruments, same room as well. Okay, but this is a bit harsher, it doesn't need the top end. Yeah, this is how far I would go with this. Again, pretty good recording, a bit shame about the room, it's a bit too much, but otherwise this is perfect. I wouldn't do anything to it. Oy. Okay, definitely a recorded saxophone. Oh, this is quite a bit harsh. Maybe it was done with a choke. Ooh, there's a lot of resonances sticking out here, so this might be a job for a dynamic EQ, because if I now take out all of the resonances, I'm taking out all of the tone, but I'm just going to show you where I hear these resonances first. Ay, 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 ay. Yes, sometimes you just have to deal with this. So I would probably slam this with an LA2A just to keep it a bit more level. That will also even out the sound a little bit. Again, I don't advocate for using compression to fix tonal issues, but the LA2A does have this smoothing quality to it, which I quite like. And here we just have to resort to other solutions. So maybe adding a bit of reverb will soften it out a little bit, like a warm plate kind of reverb. Yeah, the top, I mean, this is quite a harsh sound, but this is how a real saxophone sounds, you know, it's not perfection. I mean, my ears shut down a little bit less by doing these two adjustments, and maybe I would then go in and use a dynamic EQ to manage it even more. It's basically that that whole upper note is one loud harshness. So if I take it out completely, then I just basically take out the note. So this is something the audience will have to deal with. I think I used a bit of compression in the actual mix to make sure that it doesn't jump out too much, and some tape and a warm reverb to just try to make it as warm as possible, basically by sucking out top end, but not by using an EQ, but by using these other methods. Okay, so similar recording with a similar issue. I'm not actually sure where it's from. And as you can see, it's just such an integral part of the sound. So it's essential, guys. It's very, very important to get these kind of instruments that have the potential for so much harshness to record them as well as possible. Just spend a bit more time moving the microphones, maybe go to another room. Even if you're recording at home, you know, you have different rooms. You have your bedroom, you have a hall maybe. Don't go in the kitchen, but maybe you have an office room, a dining room or something. Try to find a room that doesn't amplify the harshness of the sound. So this is not very lucky, unfortunately. It is a typical sound, but it's not a very good typical sound, unfortunately. Here, maybe this one would benefit from a bit more room because it is just too dry. Therefore, you only really hear the resonances, the harshness. And this is all I can do here. This is the worst one here, around 3.9, and I might add some top to it in the mix. But of course that brings up some other nasty stuff. So by trying to fix one thing, I'm causing another problem. So yeah, so this is a difficult situation here. Especially in the crescendo here, listen to how this dip fixes it. It's just a bit less unpleasant, but it's not perfect. So guys, yes, I wish I had better news for you. I wish I had an all-out solution for everything that's going on here, but as you can see, when it comes to some instruments, and especially horns, the recording quality will really just dictate what happens in the mix and how it will sound ultimately. I know this is true for every other instrument, but some instruments are easier to manage than others. Acoustic guitars I find easier to manage, electric guitars are easier to manage, drums are quite easy, especially with sample replacement. But horns, I mean, I'm not going to reprogram this or use software to recreate this horn here. It's kind of what you record is almost what you get. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I've recorded a lot of horns, and you really have to watch your microphones, your microphone placements. The room, of course, matters a lot where you do the recording. So I really encourage you to dig down, go back to the basics, you know, try to figure out how you can make the best recording before even touching an EQ. So make sure you have a good instrument, a good player, if possible, of course, a good room, and a good microphone, or it doesn't even have to be amazing. I've done recordings of horns with SM58s and 57s, and if you place them right, you can get really, really good, and if you place them right, you can get really good results, so it's not impossible. But it's about the placement. It's definitely about the placement. Don't put it just straight into the opening. That's not going to work. I usually put it between the opening and the keys, so we get a bit of the key movement as well for a more organic, more natural tone. I never use stereo mics, of course, there is no point. Okay guys, so I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below. I try to respond as soon as I can. And of course, you can reach out to me via my website, which is also in the description below. If you want to learn more, I do one-on-one classes with you and only with you. We can do one session where we can work on a specific problem you might have, or we can do a whole masterclass consisting of 4 or 5 sessions, all of them 4 or 5 hours long, by the way, where we can go through all of the basics, all of the fundamentals, all of the foundations and the concepts, more importantly, so you can come up your own solutions, you can identify the problems and work out the rest for yourself. Because it's all just a problem, reaction, solution game, really. And if you understand the fundamentals, if you understand the concepts, then you can work out everything by yourself, and you don't need any more YouTube tutorials and books and interviews and all of that stuff. My promise to you is I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm not going to try to sell you any plugins or sign up to any subscriptions or any of that nonsense that you don't need, really. What I promise is that I give you a really solid, fundamental and conceptual understanding of what is going on in the audio world, so you can understand what's going on in sound and in audio, and then you can easily figure out the rest for yourself. It's quite easy actually once you understand the concepts. So I hope you liked this video, I hope it was helpful. I see you in the next one, and until then, happy mixing. Bye bye.